Hello, female coaches, consultants, and visionaries out there. Today, I want to talk about the cost of charging hourly. So, because today, I was inspired to talk about this after yesterday, and she was sharing how she charges 250 pounds per half hour. And that sounds pretty great, right? Like pretty decent money. And yet it was a red flag for me. And I'm going to tell you why it was a red flag in just a moment. But before I do that, I want to share something that is so important. And you might want to write this down. Time is a finite resource. Yes, time is a finite resource. Go ahead in the chat below, put time, because it's time that you really get that. And the reason I say that is because time is not this, ever expanding thing. We have a finite time on this planet. And if you're charging per hour, let me get my little bling thing out. Here's my handy dandy bling calculator. Let's talk about how you might be maxing out. If you're trading time for money, then I know you're going to hit a ceiling. Even if you have a full-time practice and you're maxed out, trading time for money, and time is a what resource? A finite resources. Then what that means is you will put a cap on the amount of money that you can make. Even if you're charging, like I know somebody who charges $25,000 for an hour of his time. Like that's fantastic return on his time. And yet even with that, time is a finite resource. Okay, so let's just play with this. All right, we're going to use some really easy numbers. I'm not a mathematician, but I want to go ahead and show you. Let's say you are still thinking in time for money, but you're going to charge high tickets. You're like, okay, it's worth it. And let's say you're charging for many women, $250 even for an hour sounds like a lot. Sounds like really great money. And it is. It is. I mean, we're at that point of lawyers' fees and maybe doctors' fees and professional fees. You probably grew up with someone saying, get a good job, right? Or go to school, go to a good school, get a good job, and you're thinking 9 to 5. So I know for many of you, you've made this pivot from maybe corporate or all of this upbringing around time for money. And here you are as an entrepreneur still thinking in this framework, time for money. So let's say you charge $250 an hour. And let's go ahead and put this out. Now, many women that I work with, I train them to actually only work 3 days a week, 3 weeks out of a month. But let's just put it out there that normally most entrepreneurs, that's not the kind of schedule they have. All right. So let's say you make $250 an hour. And let's say that you're working 40 hours a week. So we're going to take 250 times 40. All right. And that's pretty decent money. All right. It would be $10,000, $10,000 per week. All right. Let's go ahead and put this up. So that would be how many weeks are there in a year? There are 52. And I know many of you aren't even taking your 2 weeks off a year. But let's say that you take 4 weeks off a year. All right. And so now we're down to 48 weeks. And so 48 weeks times how much? 10,000. Okay. You're going to be maxed out. Really great money at $480,000. At $480,000. And that is if you're charging $250 an hour and you're working just like I had said. All right. So here's the reality is I want to teach you how to leverage so that you break out of this time for money. All right. When you break out of this model, it's like it's so freeing. Here's what I want you to think. Time traded for results. Go ahead and put results in the chat. Time for results. How is this a paradigm shift? is that let's go back to the woman that I was working with, charging 250 pounds. Now she was charging it for a half hour, right? But let's say, so 500 an hour. Okay. We know that she's going to be maxed out. All right. At a time for money. And here's what else I know is that she has to, if she's just charging per session. So someone says yes to work with her and it's a half hour. And she says, yeah, but I get results. I get a transformation in a half hour. Here's what I know is that she's leaving so much money on the table because she's only getting 250 per person. Now, what would happen if she packaged that into like an ultimate result that her clients are looking for? Said differently, what if she actually got out of the time for money model and said, you know what? She worked with startups. In, say, 3 months, the results will deliver. You'll have an engaged Facebook group, all right? And you'll have an email nurturing sequence, and we're going to get your branding down, right? And in my package, you know, in that 3 months, the result that I will deliver is XYZ, and the investment on that is 25,000. 25,000. How is that different? It's because you're actually breaking out of the time for money and you're committed to the results. When you commit to the results you can deliver for a client, you can charge more. And here's what's amazing is when they pay more, they pay attention. And so now that what used to be one customer at a time at 250 per half hour, now for that same amount of money, you don't need as many clients because let's face it, it takes a lot of money and energy to acquire new clients. So if you're just doing it one at a time here and there, I know that it's exhausting because you have to keep on looking for the next client and the next client and the next client. So when you can work with people for a said period of time or a specific results, you can charge more. And here's what's amazing. They're going to start raving about you because they're going to have that much, much, much more valuable result. Now, when you're on a sales call, you might have someone that says, wow, you know, I've just done the numbers and hey, doc, or hey, you know, so-and-so, I realize I just did the number and you're making like $1,000 an hour. And I go, I don't get paid for my time. I get paid for the results I deliver. Again, results driven, or I get paid for the transformation I deliver. So in the work that I do, I can let them know, you know what? Let's compare apples to apples. You can go out and you can find a coach that's a lot less expensive than me, significantly less expensive. But here's the question. Are they committed to the results that they can give you? Can they give you those results? And so again, make your, whatever you're going to charge, your price should be reflective of the results. I'm going to also give you another metaphor. I find this really, really powerful. So years ago, I practiced as a chiropractor and I had a wellness-based center. And the style of chiropractic that I did was very gentle, very light touch. And so from the outsider looking in, it might look like, oh, she just makes a light touch on the spine and magic happens, right? And so, you know, it's like, well, how do we put a price tag on that? And so when I started working in chiropractic, I would charge per session as opposed to a package or the result. It was exhausting. I was overwhelmed, worked undercharging. And I remember a coach early on that said, you need to package it, package your services. All right. And so here's the metaphor that I like to use is, let's say that you walk into your home and it's pitch black. You know exactly where that light switch is. And like this, you turn on the light switch and you go from darkness to the light. Now, let's say you're in a hotel room and it's dark. And let's say that maybe the electricians didn't put the light switch where you would think they are. And you walk into that dark room in a hotel and you start looking and you can't find the light switch and you can't find the light switch. And then finally you might find it. So what's the difference between these two things? The person that walks into their home in the dark, they know exactly where to go to turn on that light, to go from darkness to the light. And so this is what you do for people. You're not paid for the time that it takes you to go right to the heart of the transformation and go from darkness to light. You're not paid for the time because you walk into somebody's life and you know exactly how to help them fall in love, how to get healthy, how to lose weight, how to take their business to the next level. You know precisely where to go and how to turn that person's life from darkness to the light. And how long does it take? It takes a lot less time in partnering with you than them figuring it out on their own. It's a great cost to somebody to try to figure out how to lose the weight or how to take their business to the next level or how to acquire great wealth. Having a coach, having a consultant, having a visionary like you are no longer paid for your time. You are paid for the resources and transformation that you deliver. All right. So I want you to keep that in mind. If someone starts to redo the math in what you're charging and they're starting to think in hourly, you need to turn them back and really speak to the result. It's a game changer. The cost of not doing this, you're going to have to constantly look for new customers. All right. Because it's a constant churn. Remember, time is a finite resource. If you now start to think in delivering at the result, all right, you will get more testimonials, more raving fans. All right. So by thinking in terms of time for money, it could be costing you advertising. It can be costing you, would you rather have 10 high-end clients or 100 low-end clients that you have to keep on working? So anyway, this is what I want you to think about today. I want you to think about raising your rates, and I want you to break out of that old paradigm of time for money. Because when you get into time for results, here's what's available to you. Total abundance that is no longer capped. It's you step into that field of infinite, unleashed abundance, but it requires you to get out of time for money and put together packages and charge what you're worth and charge based on the result you deliver. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing here, we are going weekly on Wednesdays at noon Mountain Time. And if you'd like to transform your relationship to money and create a high ticket based business where it's the most magical thing in the world, I'd love to jump on a Queen of Cash call with you. Space is very limited. I think the next time we have available is like next week. So go ahead and click the link below. I'd love to work with you so that you can attract an abundance of high vibe, high ticket dream clients so that you can have the business of your dreams. All right, signing off, Dr. Kelly Martin Shue. Have a fantastic day.